It's like having Diana Ross in your car, yeah.
That when you approached the car, I thought, oh my God, is that Diana Ross?
Oh, goodness.
Imagine my surprise.
Yeah,
Imagine my surprise when it was John San Juan. This right here is Con Carne. I'm James Van Oslo. Con Carne is presented by Alex Ross Art. Alex Ross, a titan in the world of comics and graphic novels. Truly one of the best. I don't know how he does the work he does at the clip he does it at. He's always cranking out world-class photorealistic paintings for the covers of Marvel and DC and elsewhere, pop culture. He's all over the place. He's also on YouTube, and you can subscribe to Alex Ross's YouTube channel.
Hi, this is Alex Ross. I appreciate you guys supporting our YouTube, and we create new content every week. I hope you will continue to support us, and please subscribe.
It's Con Carne. Let's eat in the car. It's Con Carne. And now here's the star of our show, James Van Oslo.
Look at this. It is Con Carne, nominated for Best Music Podcast in the city of Chicago in the Chicago Reader's Best of 2023 poll. You can vote right now. I'll include the direct link to voting in the copy that accompanies the video and audio version of this podcast. To my right, he is a returning guest, a favorite, a longtime favorite in the city of Chicago. He is John San Juan, who we perhaps know best. We definitely know best from the Hushdrops, I think.
Yeah, I think that's
fair. That's very fair. John San Juan playing on December 29th at the Hideout with Outronauts and Depravos de l'Amour.
That's going to be a good night.
That's going to be a good night because at that point, Christmas is done.
Yeah.
We're ready for the rock.
Take your foot off the gas, enjoy some music. Yeah.
And you got a nice buffer between the show and New Year's Eve, so you're not going out back-to-back nights. It really is a strategically great night to go out and see live music.
I feel like a lot of things worked out in our favor, yeah.
So the first question, the obvious question, you're playing a solo show. What is the status of Hushdrops circa 2023, almost 2024?
Well, James, and I'm as surprised as anyone, but we're going. We are a going concern. We have been recording. We've got studio time booked for January.
Oh, really?
I've been writing. We have done gigs. We'll do gigs. So, just the quickest bullet point version of this, my longest, lifelong partner, Joe, drummer, singer, writer, etc., he was such a huge part of the identity of the band and the spirit of the band that I thought, well, when he died a few years ago, I thought, well, what could we do? We couldn't possibly continue. And me and Jim performed at a memorial show for him about half a year after he'd passed away, thereabouts. And the next time we saw each other, it was just like, well, I kind of want to do this some more. And then, he said the same exact thing, and we put out a record. And
that was The Static.
The Static, yeah, on Pravda about 2 years ago now. So it regenerated itself just out of a desire to continue making this kind of music, playing it. And, this is a slippery slope here, but I think it is probable that Joe would not have necessarily wished for us to stop.
That was a question I was going to ask. If that was one of the things you and Jim asked yourselves, like, how would he react?
How you have to, right?
Mm-hmm.
Based on 30 years of experiences of friendship and that sort of just unique combination of friendship, commerce, and art, you know about as well as you're going to know. Mm-hmm. Typical of that person's reactions. There were certain situations where maybe Joe wasn't able to participate in a thing when he was alive, and but he didn't want, he didn't want everyone else to have to leave the party. You know what I mean? So as best as you can do the calculus of someone who's not able to represent themselves in real time, it was my belief that he would have wanted us to keep playing together and keep playing this music.
And the Jim you mentioned, Jim Shapiro from the band, I'm starting to think that the Jim Shapiro you refer to is an AI Jim Shapiro, because I don't think I've seen him in the flesh in like 20 years.
Boy, I mean, I only see him marginally more than you, but but crucially he's there when, as needed. But that is a typical experience. I don't think he would mind me saying that.
That people think of him as AI at this point.
I think a lot of your guests who know him might confirm that. Yeah.
So you sent me a few new songs, and you basically said this is the tip of the proverbial iceberg. Are these new songs you wrote? Will they be Hushdrop songs when you head into a studio in January?
They're Hushdrop songs, yeah. And I learned that when there was a point where, the band had sort of achieved gridlock, maybe about 10 years ago, and I split for a couple of years and was like, well, I'm going to make my own record and I'm going to get to be the boss and so on. And
I'm going to start over and try to build a new brand for myself.
The only real failing of it was that it wasn't Hushdrops.
Right. Just
in substance and spirit and musically, so, I needed to learn that, I think the three of us needed to learn that, that what we forfeited by not playing together and maybe the uniqueness of it and what made it special. I think the best of what I do is Hushdrops, and thus it has always been.
So as far as drums go moving forward, is John Perrin the guy?
John Perrin is the guy. I don't think... I'm trying to think how to put this. He's the guy. Like, if he's not there, one of the reasons this is a solo show is because John is out of town, and...
John's a guy who will never want for work.
He'll never want for work. And nobody at his talent should ever want for work, honestly. He's just exceptional in every way as a, person and as a musician, and I'm thrilled that we have as many varied adventures together as we do. So, this is another thing where you're sharing, John Perrin with... he's sleeping with a lot of other, artists, as it were. But he's worth it. And the best people I've worked with have always been worth whatever scarcity is sort of built into those relationships.
Well said. Let's talk about some of the new songs. Will we hear all these new songs you sent me at the Hideout show?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, yeah. And even newer ones, yeah.
My favorite of what you sent is Everyone We Know, which you described as ballsy muzak, which I realize is a good description for you and me, but there's probably an entire generation who doesn't know what muzak is.
God.
Isn't that something?
It saddens me. Right. Do your children?
No.
Right.
My children don't know what a radio is at this point.
Yeah, and it's there's no point in trying to reconstruct these sort of anachronistic, what would I have said if I were inviting, telling a 13-year-old about the song, but yeah, ballsy music.
Ballsy music.
I mean, that may be something of a brand for me and for Hushdrops.
That's an album name.
It's certainly, or at least file under, you go to Amoeba, just walk right past the jazz, and folk.
File under.
Yeah, ballsy music. All right. Yeah.
Napkin Story, another new song, big ballad. There are string sounds on this. This is a very lush sounding song from you.
Is it a bit much?
I love it.
Oh, fantastic!
I
well, that makes me very happy. Yeah. No. Yeah. That's apparently a place we can go. But yeah, it's definitely like, when you put stuff on a shelf, you're stacking things, and literally if you put one more thing on there, the shelf is going to collapse. I think structurally the amount of kind of gravy, musically speaking, that's on there, mellotrons and things like that, like it's at that okay, just don't touch it, don't look at it funny.
You're describing rock and roll Jenga, where you move the wooden blocks and you try to build a tower one by one.
Yeah, and I don't think of it that way in real time, but now just looking at it from afar, that's exactly what that is. Yeah. You want to play with the blocks there, I'm probably going to look away.
Another new song, Acid Duck, which you describe as a proper stump. It is. This strikes me as the kind of song that was inevitable from you. It sounds like the stuff you probably grew up on, the stuff that informed a young John San Juan musically.
Yeah, I got real lucky. All that sort of like the Count 5 and the Yardbirds and Love and whenever Nuggets, I guess. Whenever I discovered that sort of music, it was a real like, where has this been all my life, and where can I get some more?
So again, the 29th of December at the Hideout, it is John San Juan solo, along with Outronaut and Depravos de l'Amour, which is just a fun band name to say. You've been doing the cover thing lately. You had the Manilow cover of Could It Be Magic, which is awesome.
Well, thank you.
And we've talked about that before. Can you talk about the other cover situation you're in?
Oh, well, I do a lot of Beatling. I don't know if that's what
Nope.
Okay.
Talking about the more important band from the UK.
You got to help me out here.
Spinal Tap.
Oh, my goodness. Thank you so much. Yeah. I somehow managed to get on a forthcoming Spinal Tap tribute album, and it's for charity. It's for the Who's Teen Cancer Trust. I managed to get on that twice somehow.
Twice?
Yeah, as a Hushdrop and as a Josh Caterer trio.
Oh my gosh. That's amazing. You're the MVP on that Spinal Tap tribute.
Yeah, back during the tribute album era, I feel like there were always people that just kept showing up and would show up and like, wait a minute, aren't you on side A? And so I am that in this case. Hushdrops did a version of the song "Tonight I'm Gonna Rock You Tonight,"
which is that's a proper rock song.
I wanted to claim that. It felt like, well, this is about as anthemic.
You're too young and I'm too well hung. Tonight I'm gonna rock you.
Well, and there. Speaking of which, the day that we did overdubs on that, there was a very, very, very young female intern working at the studio, and so, and I'm just conscious of this, like, I just come in there, this big old beardy behemoth, and thinking like, I don't think this person knows this song. No. I don't know if the first thing that I want to do on mic is, sing all of these very, very lurid, deliberately lurid lyrics. And so I just kept kind of putting it off, like, well, why don't we let's do the backing vocal pads. Let's put some guitars on. And my engineer that I normally work with eventually figured out what was going on, and just took her aside and said, I think we're done. We don't need anything else today. And I think John tends to sing better when there's fewer people here.
There
really just covered for me because I just felt like a dirty old man.
Now, we're of similar age, John San Juan. John San Juan performing a solo show the 29th at the Hideout. Did you buy the soundtrack?
Oh, the Black Album.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Absolutely.
Of course.
Yeah.
I listened to that nonstop, and I was able to get over the fact that it wasn't a real band. I just thought the songs were so well crafted.
Well, it's like the Ruddles. Just
Yes.
the action. It's got so much heart, and it's uncanny, really. That you'd think there's a few of these songs like, God, I wish Dio had a song like this, or various.
I mean,
80s.
Hellhole's a jam.
Oh God, yeah, and the throwbacky stuff like
Flower
Give Me
People.
Some Money and Flower People, yeah, Cups and Cakes. Stonehenge,
Of course.
that's just epic.
I don't rewatch movies often. I feel like if I have 2 hours to myself, I want to watch something I haven't seen before. That's one of the few movies I can still put on and enjoy to no end.
Yeah, I don't know how many times I've seen it. You
Yeah.
know, and it does seem to, even if you're sort of past the point, because I feel like the first 50 times you watch it, there are riches
Yes.
that keep unfolding.
Absolutely.
I feel this way about Better Call Saul. There's a lot of things that, or a handful of things really, that will keep unveiling as you watch. And Spinal Tap is, first and foremost, really.
I remember rewatching it for the first time in a long time a couple of years ago. I was surprised, but not really, but surprised by how many lines I still knew by heart from years ago, how they never left my head. I can't tell you a thing I learned in college, but I could tell you line for line that movie.
Did you have the experience? Have you had the experience of the thing that you find funny on your 20th watch versus your 21st watch is a completely different thing? Like a little aside or throwaway or an expression, that just you're sort of waiting for the big payoff, and the thing that ends up flooring you is a lot of it I found is Tony Hendra, rest in peace. A lot of his facial, they all do this. There's a lot of facial expressions, money talks and bullshit walks, and he just looks so utterly baffled, and that ends up being, somehow funnier than any bit of dialogue.
I remember I was in an interview and I was talking about a music venue that had gone away. I forgot, this was a couple years ago. And I said something to my interviewee like, don't look for it. It's no longer there. I thought, oh my God, I just quoted Marty DeBerge accidentally from Spinal Tap.
I go, and you've been in and around music for so long now that the relevance of, like, you can't not say these things just simply because they're so germane to whatever situation
Right.
you may find yourself in. And so it is with bands. And
So back to you, off of Spinal Tap, John San Juan, December 29th at the Hideout, solo. You're going to start 2024 getting those new Hushdrops songs all put on tape, as they used to say.
and we do actually put them on the tape too.
You recorded tape?
We recorded tape.
No way.
The expense is irresistible, obviously, but it's just
Who
it's
can resist?
it's a sound that I like. Yeah,
I don't think I knew that. You record. Wow.
Yeah. So the last certainly this actually all three Hushdrops albums are almost entirely tape.
Have you seen The Computer?
I've seen The Computer, yeah. And I know, and I use it at home for demos and things like that. But it's one of those things like, smoke them if you got them. And if you happen to be in a studio with great engineers and great equipment, you should absolutely avail yourself.
I love that. All right, so we will see you do some of these new songs. I'm sure you'll do some old favorites. Do you bust out Summer People in a solo setting?
That's probably the closest thing I have to whatever. If there's like the
hit
band that has a kind of dumb novelty song or whatever, and like that's probably the closest I have to that But I never. It's been a long time since I felt like I had to play it, and even when I felt that, I think it was self-imposed. I felt like in Hushdrops, whenever we had a bunch of new material, we'd just go out and play all this unknown music, and it didn't seem to matter. Like we didn't.
I still love that song. I mean, you're kind of belittling it, but I do like.
Oh
the
no,
song.
I'm very fond of it. I mean, the silliest thing about it by far is the title. But yeah, no, that's I like that one. It may be of my body of work. It may be as close
Your
as
Urva?
Yes, exactly. I'm like, what is the loftiest?
Your Urva?
Yeah, it may be. It may be the closest thing to something that it may lose the most in a solo setting, more so than some other songs. Then there's probably a handful of them where I feel like, that acoustic guitar and vocal isn't necessarily the strongest way to present this.
Fair. By the way, we're recording on Bryn Mawr Avenue, just east of Pulaski. Have you been aware? I know we've been talking, we've been focused on that. Have you been aware of just how fast cars are going down Bryn Mawr?
I don't like it. I feel a little like we rattle every time they rush by.
Not a
and
fan.
It's quite dark. There's a cemetery right here.
I mean, look at that! It's like tailgating.
Yeah. This might be some sort of Mayfair drag racing that we don't know about.
Could be.
Yeah.
By the way, as far as tailgating goes, I think that's one of the biggest dick moves you can do on the road, if not the biggest.
Oh no, that's an outright act of hostility.
It is.
And
it's bullying.
It's bullying, and it's like the idea of getting another motorist to sensibly flinch for their safety is a weird flex, bro.
It's totally cringe, bro.
Yeah, apparently, I don't know what your teen pipeline is at home, but I remember like getting the sort of memo that like once cringe was yeeted from the vocabulary.
I used the word riz, and the response I got was, "Dad, stop."
Oh man. Yeah, I somehow got I got my kids to a point where they just like, okay, maybe if we just don't react.
Right. Right. Like if you see a bear in the woods, don't engage him.
Well, those are good life skills, So I feel that if I've done nothing else right as a parent, I've taught them not to show annoyance.
Do they roll their eyes at dad jokes?
Oh God! For some reason, they like dad jokes. I don't know how this works. I don't know how any of this works.
Good for you, dude.
But yeah, I don't know how the grandpa jokes are going to go over when we get to that point. But how about yours?
It's 50-50. I mean, some of my more skilled puns do get a nice reception, but the other half of the time there are eye rolls.
But do you land on the so bad it's good side of things periodically?
Yeah.
That's a good. I like that one. I feel like I can do that.
Things that we older gentlemen have seen outlawed in our time that shouldn't have been outlawed include jorts. Nothing wrong with that. We can't wear those anymore.
Yeah.
Dad jokes are somehow not cool. Why is wordplay not okay? Everyone loves wordplay.
Oh, no. And then again, my belief is that there's something, I can't remember what it is now, but there was something that my youngest and I were into together, maybe a television show or a movie where dad jokes were kind of part of it. Oh, no, it was James Bond. We watched all the James Bond movies one year, and or as far as we were able to get, to be honest. And all of his, how he'll do this whenever he vanquishes a foe.
Right, like shocking.
Oh, God, yes, yeah. Bon appetit. For some reason, yeah, my youngest was so into that just because it was cringe, really. But kind of definitively so.
All right, John San Juan. So good to see you, especially this time of year. I feel like you are a gift. John San Juan, the 29th of December at the Hideout with Outronaut. Oh my God, he's going to pass the bus. Outronaut to Bravo de l'Amour. Holy shit! Careful.
Yeah, you're missing. Yeah, I'm sorry we weren't able to. We might. Yeah, but let's set up a cam for the drag race next time.
I'm actually surprised. I mean, they're one of the most notorious speed cameras in Chicago. Is like half mile south of here, just south of Foster Avenue on Pulaski. I've been nailed by that twice. To the point now, I'm trained. It's Pavlovian. I know. I start hitting the brakes
as soon as I cross either Cicero or Kimball.
Oh yeah,
things get real mellow. Yeah,
but considering how intense the speed camera is over there, like this is like carte blanche for ticket writing over here. It's a long drag without a stop sign.
Yeah, I mean, I'm no narc, but you know, if somebody's missing out on a big payday,
right?
Here, yeah.
Right. I mean, this could fund the policeman's ball. if there was such a thing. All right, John, thank you for doing this.
It's great to see you.